Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pavan. I'm an Olympian and beach volleyball world champion and a longtime professional indoor player. Last week, we checked out the top 5 moments of Haikyuu season 2. If you happen to miss that, check it out here. But we are putting the absolute final touches on Haikyuu season 2 today. If you've been with me since season 1, you will remember that I did an all-star team for that season, taking my personal opinions of the best players that we had seen. As the seasons progress and we see more and more players, schools, etc., in consultation with my channel members, shout out to Sarah's Love House, we decided that it would be smarter moving forward, because it can get a little overwhelming, to put together an all-star team from the tournament play from each season, and then a global all-star team from the entire series. Because in season 2, like, we did a lot of training camps. There was that huge training camp arc, but we didn't really see those teams necessarily in action. So for our season 2 team, we are just gonna take a look at teams that we saw play in tournaments. And then at the end, if you wanna stick around, I will share my series all-star team based on everybody that we've seen. So without further ado, we are gonna start with my pick for the top setter in season 2. We had some strong candidates, okay? Obviously, I think we can agree that Kageyama and Oikawa really topped out the tournament play group. Akashi, Kenma, training camp, they are exempt from this discussion. But, and you know I hate to say it, and this happened in season 1 too, I have to pick for my setter Oikawa. I will admit, after that amazing rally in episode 24, he did endear himself to me a little bit more, just kind of getting those little tidbits of what his coaches were saying to him and his mindset and things like that. Doesn't change the fact that he's a little bit immature off the court and on the court sometimes, but you cannot deny the man knows how to make his hitters look good, okay? He is the one that Kageyama went to when he was struggling to connect on the quick attack with Hinata. Kageyama sought him out for advice. So he's the one that kind of explained to Kageyama how important it is to give your hitters what they want. And I think he does that so well. We cannot deny his serve is a serious weapon. He's offensive. He really brings the entire package to the floor. So season 2 setter, Oikawa. Moving on to the right sides. Season 2 tournament play, we had Daichi, we had Inoshita step in, we had Kunimi, we had Mad Dog. Those were the ones that really stood out in tournament play. I know Ogi Minami was in there, Wakunan was in there, Jozenji was in there. But those are the right sides that we're really focused on. But again, my all-star pick for season 2 right side is Daichi. Now, hear me out. I think you guys understand why I'm picking him. He is not necessarily the flashiest player. If we want to go for flash, obviously Mad Dog would be the selection. But Mad Dog is pretty one-dimensional. He's a hitter, server. I know that is the right side's job, scoring points, and he does that really, really well. I just think that he has the tendency to completely disrupt his team. He is not disciplined whatsoever. His ball control is lacking. times a million, and he is very high error. Do I think that Mad Dog will make an all-star team in future seasons? 100% absolutely. I just do not think that he brings the same things to the table that Daichi does right now. And that is a calming presence on the court. That is understanding his teammates and what they need in every single moment. That is ball control, leadership. He does score points when called upon, but he brings those intangible things that you need on the court. I think Inoshida also has a lot of those qualities, but if we're going head-to-head comparing volleyball abilities, Daichi is better. So my right side pick for season 2 of Haikyuu is Daichi. Okay, next up are the middle blockers. This one is tricky because middle blockers that I personally like were not showcased much in tournament play. So as far as possible options in my mind from tournament play, we've got Aoni, who we did see play against Seijo. We've got Hinata, Tsukushima, Kindaichi, and honestly, in the other matches, the middles weren't focused on so much. So this one is very interesting to me. So hands down, I have to pick Aoni. He is solid. His blocking ability is incredible. When they're able to get him the ball, he is a force to be reckoned with at the net. So I mean, I feel pretty confident with that tournament play pick. The second one is a little bit more of a challenge for me, because I understand that like Hinata is a focal point for so much of like teams' defenses. I think he is getting better, and if we're looking at Hinata from season 1, it's like he's not the same player. He is so much better. I think the things that he has improved in are obviously his attacking. Eyes are open now. Huge step. He's able to see the block defense. He's able to move the ball where he wants. He does not hit it particularly hard. So when a block defense is really disciplined, he's pretty straightforward to dig just because he's lacking power right now. And his blocking instincts are getting better. He doesn't necessarily block the ball straight down, but he's able to like use his tools to get good touches. I just paid Hinata a lot of compliments to say that I'm not picking him. I'm actually picking Suki. I do think that Suki is much better than people give him credit for. Not you guys though, I know you love him. The reason I would pick him over Kindaichi is just his calming presence on the court. His blocking skills are very, very good, and he's a smart attacker. He sees the space when he needs to, like, wants to attack, but he also moves the ball around with tips. And I would say that his hitting percentage is very high. His ball control is also much better than Hinata's. His serving is more consistent. So yeah, he's able to make plays and talk to the front row when they're blocking about what adjustments to make, and he reads the hitter really, really well. That being said, will Tsukushima make my series all-star team right now? No. But I think given the teams that we saw play at length, he is my pick. Season 2 outside hitters. We saw some solid outsides in tournament play in season 2. The ones that stand out to me personally are Asahi, Tanaka, Iwazumi, Nakashima from Wakunon, the loud guy from Jozenji with the blonde hair. I forget his name. Those 5 are my standouts. Now, explaining my narrow down process, Joe Zenjigai is very undisciplined. I think with proper training and like working within a disciplined system, he could be very good. I also think that Tanaka is really good, but not necessarily at the level of the other 3. I don't know, I really liked Nakashima a lot. I like that he was, like Hinata, able to maximize his tools. He is the player that is most reminiscent of the little giant. He uses the block, he sees the game, his ball control is really good, his serving, he's a great all-around player. Similar to Iwazumi, who is bigger. You guys, this is really tough. The other thing we have to consider too, though, is that both Iwazumi and Asahi are playing with top-notch setters, whereas Nakashima's not. So the fact that he's able to do what he's able to do without an Oikawa or a Kageyama makes what he does even more impressive. I am like, this is hard, you guys. I mean, I want to put Nakashima on the list so bad, but he's also like a little more unproven. And like when people know that you're the ace and people know that you're gonna get the ball, but you manage to be good and play at a high level over and over again, I think that's where Asahi and Iwazumi kind of get the edge, is that they've been in those positions before. They have earned the respect of their opponents. Not that Nakashima hasn't, he has, but I think that Iwazumi and Asahi are just more like well tested and continue to show up. And we saw Asahi make huge adjustments to his game this season by introducing his spin serve, by making the back row attack like very consistent, by asserting himself as the leader and the ace in, when they collided, him and Hinata, and then he was like, my ball. So that's why Asahi gets the nod for me. Even though he is a little passive, he is solid. And then Iwazumi also, we saw him step up his serving game. We saw him in more of the leadership role, like kind of, we saw it in season 1 too, but just his interactions with Oikawa and how he was able to manage Mad Dog when Mad Dog would kind of like go off the rails a little bit. Like he was the one person who Mad Dog respected. I know that doesn't have to do with his skills necessarily, but I just feel that those two are all around players. They're big, they're physical, and you can pretty much rely on them to get the job done. So my outside hitters for tournament play are Iwazumi and Asahi. And finally, the libero. For me, it came down to Noya Obvi and the libero for Seijo, but I don't know his name. Can somebody hit me up with this guy's name? I thought he was good, and I do love how he sets, but Noya's gonna have the nod for me. The thing that I feel sometimes about liberos is that you don't notice them necessarily when they're playing well, but when they're not up to par, you really notice them. So Noya didn't necessarily play a huge, like, in-your-face, flashy role this season. He kind of flew under the radar, but he was so consistent. He very rarely made mistakes. He developed his jump set, which came in big matches. And he's just like the engine for the team. Like he keeps everybody's morale up, everybody like rallies around him, and he gives a lot of people confidence. So Noya is my pick for season 2 tournament play libero. Okay, if you've stuck with me this far, I love you. You're amazing. I'm just gonna go through my series all-star team up to this point. Several of the picks from season 2 tournament play are going to be on my series team so far, with a couple exceptions. So, Oikawa would be my setter. Daichi would be my right side. Noya would be my libero. The changes that we're gonna see are in the middle blockers and the outsides. For middle blockers, I would keep Aoni, but I'm gonna switch out Tsukishima for Kuro. I contemplated Lev for like 1 second because he is like very offensive, and I think that Lev will be there eventually. I think he's still just really raw, and his ball control is like non-existent. He makes a lot of like inexperienced mistakes still, but he does have glimmers of brilliance. But right now Kuro is just at a different level than him, and Kuro is the one that is like helping teach Tsuki how to block, how to think, how to be a middle. So that experience goes a really long way. So my series middles for this point are Kuro and Aoni. And then my outsides, I am keeping Asahi. Him and Iwazumi are very similar, but I'm gonna give the nod to Asahi. And I'm gonna replace Iwazumi with Bokuto. Bokuto is a child, really. He's moody. When things don't go well, he kind of tanks, which is like definitely a con of Bokuto. But I'm thinking like when the players are playing at their best, who is better? And Bokuto is. He hits some serious angles. He has the drive and the passion to keep improving and growing. Again, like he is the player that is other players want to be like, you know, hitting like off the hands, using a tip when people don't expect it. Like he's got a very creative and like interesting attacking repertoire, which makes him tough to stop. And like they said, I believe it was Takeda who said, Bokuto is the type of player that whether you're cheering for him or against him, like you want him to succeed. He's a player that you just enjoy to watch play. So even though Bokuto's lows are very low, he is definitely on the all series team right now. So to summarize, of all the players that we have seen play so far, in my opinion, the best players, the series all-star team is Oikawa at setter, Daichi at right side, Kuro and Aoni in the middle, Asahi and Bokuto on the outside, and Noya as a libero. I am sure there are going to be some of you out there who are just completely outraged at my list and will be like, are you crazy? Like, what are you thinking? If you think that, hit me up in the comments, because I'm curious who you would choose instead if you think that my list is spot on. So yeah, share your thoughts of who you would put in the season 2 tournament team and in the Haikyuu series team up to this point. I'm very curious to see your answers. And I mean, as always, please like this video. I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to my channel, and hang tight because season 3 of Haikyuu is right around the corner and I cannot wait to watch it with you guys. Thanks.